Hey guys, Rob from Georgia here with you, aka VHS82 apostrophe. Man, episode 31. Can you believe I've already done 30 of these? It just doesn't make any sense to me. But episode 31, I thought it was about time to go back and revisit one of my favorite, it is my favorite slasher of all time. Compliments of Italy, as well as Joe D'Amato's group, Filmrage. Michele Soavi, man, 1987, dropping a bomb on the video stores, man. Renting this bad boy was this was the gold mine of gold mines. The first time I ever saw this on VHS, back in the day when I was a teenager punk kid, bringing this big hefty thing home. Man, I'm like, there you go, man. That is what it's all about. At the back, just love it, man. Just love it. This is my favorite slasher of all time. Easy, without a doubt. It is, man, I tell you, I could not believe I found this on Amazon for like 12 bucks and change. Still great, man. Still great. Great shape. I watch it. I watch it every once in a while on VHS down here. And sorry, Lonnie, man, there's nothing like it, man. I dig what you said on one of your videos not long ago about the VHS format and stuff, but there is nothing like a little bit of nostalgia from time to time. But yeah, Blue Underground did put it out. I'm not really fond of the artwork, although I get it, the messaging there in terms of the film. But this was from ExposureCinema from the UK. I do dig, and that's what you see up there. I do dig this artwork a lot more, but I definitely prefer. I prefer what I rented back in the day. I just think this is awesome, man. So basically, what do we got here? If you're new to StageFright, which, wow, shame on you. But throw that aside, you got to get your hands on this. You got to check this out if you're a fan of slashers. Well, Giallo slasher. This is elements of both. Probably perfectly done. Hysteria Continues did a really great pod on this, and it included a nice little interview with Giovanni Lambardo Radice, who unfortunately rest in peace, man. I will miss that guy. And he's in this, man. I love him. I absolutely love him in this thing. A group of young actors and dancers rehearsing a horror musical based on a sadistic mass murders of a psychotic killer discover that the stage fright can be a terrifyingly fatal when the real killer joins the cast. After escaping from a nearby mental institution, the killer, a berserk ex-actor named Irving Wallace, who had already viciously murdered 16 people, slaughters the troop's wardrobe mistress with an axe. Pickaxe, actually, outside in the rain, which is beautiful cinematography. Seizing on the murder as an opportunity to promote his play, the fanatical director. Look, I'm the great David Brandon apologist, Peter's character there. I'm the great apologist. I absolutely love his character, and I don't think he's near as fanatical as he's always made out to be. Moves the opening night forward, forcing the actors to rehearse all night by locking them inside. I wonder why. There's a killer running around. In the mayhem that follows, the keys are lost. Well, not lost. They're purposely hidden. But the group soon realizes that Irving is among them. Yeah, quite quick, actually. Planning a long night of terror in Carnage freaking City, man. Dude, this guy does not mess around, and Michele Soavi does not mess around. This is pure mayhem and carnage, man. And Simon Boswell with the score. He, of course, Hardware for what's his name there? Yeah. Here I go. Stupid brain freeze. Richard Taylor, right? Is that right? Richard Stanley. Richard Taylor. Richard Stanley. Hardware, of course, right? As well as, I think, didn't he add some stuff to Phenomena for Dario? Pretty sure he did. You got the cinematographer here from Opera. I love Opera, man. I love Opera. And of course, Joe D'Amato is producer in his film, his company Filmrage. I have to tell you, man, when I was a kid plugging this VHS tape into my 25-inch console TV back in the day, I was hooked the minute I saw Filmrage. I don't know what it is. It was something about that name. I knew it was from Italy, and I just thought to myself at the moment, oh, hold on, we're in for something. We are in for something. And sure enough, man, by the time that movie got done, I'm like, I think I just witnessed one of the greatest slashers I've ever seen in my entire life. And I still feel that way. I absolutely love this movie. David Brandon, man, is Peter, the director. David Brandon freaking rocks, man. I love him. Barbara Cupisti, our main girl, Alicia. Giovanni Lambardo Radice, man, is Brett. I freaking love him in this movie. He's so great. James Edward Sampson, man. From some Fulci films, man. Willie, he's freaking awesome. I don't know. I wonder if Satan got. Isn't that the cat's name? Satan, I think. I wonder if he got credit. He should have. He did freaking good. Ulrike Schwerk is Betty. Freaking love her. She's the one who gets pickaxed in the beginning. Mary Sellers is Laurel. She takes a chainsaw and she just, man, and then gut it with her. Oof. Ferrari, of course. Piero, Inda, I think. I got sloppy with my writing. I'm so sorry. And then, of course, you got a combination of Clain Parker and George Eastman as Irving Wallace. Mostly the masked scenes. I think George Eastman just was meant to bring a more ominous, towering view, and of course the owl head, which Giovanni Lambardo Radice said in an interview that the Michele dreamed. He had a dream, and that's what inspired him for the killer, and so that is amazing. That is really, really amazing. But for much of the scenes as Irving Wallace, we do get Clain Parker, and she's just so freaking awesome, man. It's hard to talk about a movie that you just love so much, because I really don't know if there's anything. Well, let me just go after the negatives that are most commonly attached to this movie, like David Brandon's character, Peter, as the director. So it's always mentioned, he's a fanatical director. He doesn't care about anyone but himself. He locks them all in there, and hides the keys. And it's like his intention is so self-serving, and that's just not true. I mean, when you really watch this, there are reasons why. Now, there may be some self-interest involved. I'm not going to say there's not any, but it's not so blown out of control like some people say. I mean, he does not. I think, if anything, though, his worst moment comes when the only thing between him and Irving Wallace, as he's trying to bang on the door. This big giant metal door, man. It's like the only thing that can let them out, except for the side entrance, which is locked. He seems to push Laurel back into Irving Wallace, who's holding a chainsaw, who just sort of swipes at her, and she falls to the ground. And it's like, yeah, that was not his best moment as a character. But through much of it, there's a moment that, he shows real genuine emotion over the loss and anger, real anger. And that's what I love too about the strength of the cast as they come together, and there's nothing else to do but to chase this killer down in this stage house, this theater house. And that's a real strength of the film. But man, he's always a step or two out in front, and so he's always waiting for them. And unfortunately, Brett's demise, man, Giovanni's, it's how he goes out is absolutely horrible. I won't get like too far in, because I know there's probably some who will maybe see this review and have not seen it, and you really need to, especially now that we're getting into the Halloween season, October and everything. It's definitely a worthy of a Halloween marathon type thing. The other critique is the end, and especially when Irving Wallace is on the floor, seemingly dead, but not seemingly, because he's dead. The camera closes up on his sort of face as he's laying there, and he does sort of twinkle his eye a bit, his blinks, and or grins maybe. It's just really subtle and slight, but it's enough. And it was just, Michele said himself, he was just poking fun at American film, because in the end there always has to be that moment, right? But for us, for our intention, he's dead. He's gone. And thank God, thank God they never made a sequel to this. Never. This is a standalone giallo slasher film from Italy, by one of the great directors out of Italy in the late 80s, man, who first brings us his directorial debut, man. And he even gives himself a cameo in here as one of the police officers sitting out in the car outside the theater house. Of course, they have no idea what's happening inside. And so it's, they're just out there, trying to get through the night, man. Downpour, rain, you got that going on, and just the atmosphere, the score from Simon Boswell. It's just, man, it's just something about it, man. I don't know. And so, okay, so just a little bit here. So a lot of what I said sort of gives you an idea, but how does this all happen? So Barbara Cupisti's character, Alicia, sprains her ankle, and Betty is like, we really need to get that looked at. And so no one's supposed to leave the stage house. No one, not during rehearsals or all the stuff going on. And they con Willie, he's like the property guy, to let them out the side entrance and leave the key out or whatever. And so they go to the closest nearest place, which just happens to be a mental asylum. But all they need is her ankle wrapped, and that's it. And so they managed to do that. And even when you're in the asylum, it's awesome. It's because the nurse on duty, man, who is not like the nicest person in the world, she is so, there's a scene involving the music, there's a scene involving this huge tank, and there's these like I don't know what they are exactly, some kind of dragonfish or something. She's feeding it from above, and so the camera's looking through the tank, and she's on the other side, and she's just kind of looking up in just absolute awe of this fish. And it is a real foreshadowing there about a predator that is about to unleash himself from this institution, tag along with the girls when they head back to the stage house and find his way in. And when he does, man, it's just like that tank. And that's why I say I kind of get the metaphor here, what's working. I just don't like it. And so, they go there and they get the help, and she gets an ankle wrapped or whatever, and some whatever numbing thing, I don't know, rubbed on her ankle. The doctor seems a bit creepy, actually. And so they head back, and of course he has since broken out. No one knows it, and he hides in the back of their car. And when they get back to the stage house, of course, Betty, as they get inside, she forgets something. She's got to go back out to her car. Worst thing that could have happened. I don't know how this guy gets in the stage house if it's not for this, but she comes back out to the car, and of course she hears the cat or something who's out there. Lucifer, that's the name of the cat. It's not Satan, it's Lucifer. Lucifer should have been credited if he's not credited. She comes around the car, and of course, man, there he is, pickaxe up in the air, wham, she's gone, right? But it's such a beautiful shot scene. And once Alicia gets inside and realizes, has her moment with Peter basically says, pack your bags and go. No one leaves without my permission. I don't care what the issue is. And so, a moment where he kind of doesn't show, his character doesn't shine there either, really. But he does show her affection, but, that might be in part because they were sleeping together, you find out. But so she's going to leave, but when she does, that's when she sees Betty's body still out there in the rain and the mud and the downpour with the pickaxe. How many times do you see that happen, man? And so she comes back in screaming up a storm. And then it's probably somewhere at that point where Irving Wallace makes his way inside the place. And once he does, now, the troop, they call the police, they come out, the police show up, okay, lock things down. They don't know. I don't know. See, if there's a flaw here, it seems like the police should have not allowed them. I get they keep a car out front, and they probably tell them lock the doors. And so that's what I mean. Peter's character gets too much hate for locking them inside, and he's probably told by the police to lock them inside. while they're outside because no one figures the killer's made his way in. But hence he is. Now, Peter's bad decision is to hide the key. And that's a flaw in his character. But I love his character in this movie. I really do. He shows some real leadership, some heroism, courage at times. And then he shows some flaws at times. He's human. He's a person. I think it's a perfect balance, actually. And I love just the whole cast. But you know, he gets banged in there, and it's like he wears the owl head, and it is a predator, man. The owl is on the loose inside this thing, man, looking for his prey. And it is, man. It's just one of those stinking movies, man. It's just, there's so much in there, man. Dreamlike quality, and just this might be one of the last gasps from Italian cinema heading towards the very late 80s. It really is. Michele should have been allowed to take the mantle and really. And you have D'Amato's film company, Filmrage. I mean, you have things in place to keep this, but TV is expanding in Italy. The cinema's starting to shut down in terms of its production, especially horror films. Most of it was exported anyways to the world. It wasn't even really for Italian consumption. Although some back in the heyday, you know, had some real success. You know, I would imagine Mario Bava did, and Dario Argento met with a lot of success. But much of Italy's horror was exported to other countries, like here in the great USA. And kids 17, 16 like me going to the video store and discovering on film, having read about it in Fangoria, but discovering it on film, seeing for the first time StageFright or Suspira or Zombie or Hell of the Living Dead, or you know Matai stuff, Lenzi stuff, Margheriti, Lambardo Bava Demons, right? That really should be on my 31 Days of Horror. Lambardo Bava needs to come in here at some point. Anyways, God, Italian cinema. But I mean, overall, the whole thing, I mean, it's just, if you've never seen it, man, you got to see it. I'm trying to think real quick. One of my most favorite scenes, the pickaxe scene in the beginning is pretty good. But you got the infamous drill through the door scene, man, when they're sort of locked themselves into the dressing room, and he's tugging on the door trying to get in, and of course all he wants is one of them to get too close to the door, and man, his arm comes right through. He grabs that poor guy, pins him to the door, and then he rams this huge drill right through the door, and man, it is gnarly. There's some brutal kills in here, man. I mean, some really brutal kills. And then he litters the stage in a real theatrical way with all of his victims, and some in pieces, man. Maybe the most gnarly kill, actually, the poor girl, man, that gets pulled down through the floor, man, and they're trying to grab her arms, they're trying to pull her up, and then all of a sudden you just hear the worst sound imaginable, and it's her body being ripped in half, and then they pull her half, and then the boyfriend, and it was horrible, as you find out earlier, she's pregnant. You always sort of forget about that. And then he jumps right in against Peter's own screaming restraint, and he just jumps right in. Of course, you know, Irving's ready down there, and he takes him out. And it's just carnage, man. It's a war. It's really a war between these actors fighting for their lives in ways that you just don't see a lot. I mean, today is just too often the acting is silly, the writing's horrible, nothing makes sense. It's all cliche, and it's just like there. But here, these are struggling actors. They're older. For all intentions, they're more mature, although they do have their issues. Some, from here and there have their issues. But I love him. Brett is so stinking lovable in this movie. This is it, man. This is like one of my, I mean, it's not his greatest role ever, but this is one of his best roles. This is the movie I fell in love with Giovanni Lamberto Radice. This is the movie. And then I started going out and seeing what else he did. I absolutely think he's absolutely incredible in House at the Edge of the Park. I think he's absolutely incredible in that. And then there's Apocalypse. What is that? Margheriti film, Apocalypse. God, see, my brain just all over the place. But anyways, probably hitting towards that time. I should just go ahead and... so episode 31, Italy's Holocaust. And this guy too. Remember, I used Jim Harper's book as a reference guide. Jim Harper's Italian horror, and he does give some really nice comments to StageFright in here. He is a fan for sure. Which is, it's always nice, because a lot of the stuff in here, he doesn't hold back his criticism if he doesn't like it. But the one thing he does say in here too, that is that the owl mask is much more memorable than Jason's hockey mask. And the only thing I'll say to that is, well, not really, in the sense that I think its use is, I know what he's trying to say, but I mean, if there was only Friday the 13th Part 3 and all we had was one film with the hockey mask, and they just decided for whatever reason, give them something else for the rest of the movies, I don't know, would we have forgotten about the hockey mask? Would we have clamored for 3 or 4 films in a row to get that hockey mask back on? You watch StageFright, that owl mask works, man. And especially when it's a hulking George Eastman, you know, from Anthropophagus. And there's Joe D'Amato's Anthropophagus and Absurd. And you know there's an Easter, no, it's not an Easter egg or anything, but in the dressing room there's a picture of George Eastman as the Anthropophagus, which is always cool to see. So anyways, episode 31, this one I went a little bit longer, so I apologize, but I absolutely love this movie, so I don't apologize. So if you ran for the whole length, I appreciate it, and I appreciate the support and just the views and the comments and the subs. If you haven't thought about subbing me, I got a 31 Days of Horror that'll be rolling throughout October. A continuing X-Files exploration of the X-Files, God willing, all 11 seasons. We are in the middle of season 1 right now, and there's my crazy fives, and occasionally I'll read a Lovecraft story. There's just a bunch of stuff in there. So, but anyways, I appreciate it. As always, we are getting closer to October, and with that, that is our month, is it not? That is our month. And football. Absolutely. My Georgia Bulldogs heading towards, I believe, a 3rd national title. We'll see. There's some good teams out there, man. FSU, man, they are playing great. Texas. I know this, I'm doing this a little before, but Texas just put a knocker on Bama. That was really weird to see. Some good teams out there. It's going to be, I think this may be one of the hardest years to squeeze 4 into that 4, and this is why we're getting 12, right? But enough of that. There's the NFL too as well, and we always end these things off with Go Bills.
This is not a dream. Not a dream.
We might be useful to